is.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Wrestling Edition, and my guest for this week's show is none other than freshman wrestler on the men's wrestling team here at Menlo College, Riley Siason. Riley, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by talking a little bit about yourself. Now, we've spent probably about 15 minutes off air getting into this a little bit, but we have a special bond. We are both from the wonderful town of Salinas, California, and I always ask everybody this who comes from there, what's your favorite part of being back home?
I'd mainly say, I'd say home is always home. That's always the best part. But when it comes to coming back, I'm always in it for, the food. So,
of course.
North Main, Main Street, the main street of our town, North Main all the way to South Main, all the different types of foods over there. I love it because there's so many choices, and then probably this off season I'm going to go over there and just pick out.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, and also my side of town, where I grew up from, the northeast part. I love it because there's a Safeway. I like getting, chicken tenders over there. But the chicken tenders over there are amazing at Safeway. There's also a Wingstop and one of my favorite Italian restaurants over there.
I love how when you talk about the food from Salinas, you bring up specifically a chain like Safeway where you can go anywhere pretty much in the entire country.
It's the same thing over. It's the same thing over here too. So I'll just probably take an Uber to Safeway and get chicken tenders, and then take another one back.
What's the Italian restaurant?
Pasta Mia.
Okay, Pasta Mia. I've never been, but I've heard of it.
It's good.
What about Main Street? I got to ask you. You know where the Dollar Tree is, right in downtown. There was a little Mexican restaurant there called Oh, let's go! He knows Cozumel. Unfortunately, no longer with us.
I had a friend whose, I think, aunt owned it. I think. Yeah, and so, me and my family always go there.
Oh.
With my grandpa too, because it was right next to their house, and so. Yeah, that's one of my favorite places too until it got shut down.
It will always be my favorite Mexican restaurant, probably till the end of time. Yeah. I've had a lot of other places in my life, and in Salinas too, but hands down Cozumel, the best Mexican food on the planet. Now, the last few weeks have been a huge success for you. You've had, the big dual victory against Embry-Riddle, to performing really well at the Missouri Valley Invitational as well a couple weeks ago. Where has all this late season success come from for you?
I'd say it mainly comes from everybody. Everyone's contributed it to Coach Martinez, to my family, my friends back home, my friends out of state. What is it? I can't get it right now, but enemies. Mm-hmm. That always pushes me. Oh, I want to be better than him. But it also comes from the team, mainly from the team and my partners, and because it really drives us, and we have that brotherly bond, and so that's special. And I never really had a team where we're all focused on one goal, and it's just to better each other and become the best version of ourselves, and that's what we drive and push each other to do, and I love it. And
all that positive energy has been feeding into you, certainly, because you've been a lot of fun to watch on the match when you're coming out of there, popping your singlet like that.
Yeah.
You've certainly been having your emotions on your sleeves, and it's been fantastic to watch. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Oaks. Menlo placed third at the Missouri Valley Invitational and at the annual California Collegiate Open at San Francisco State. Do you feel like this team is really hitting its stride at this point in the season?
I feel like we hit our stride once, before season started. Once I got here and once practices just started rolling, I knew that we were going to be good, great. And we were good. Right now, we're number 6 in the nation. I feel like we're top 3. If we start attacking and wrestle the way we do at practice and be as confident as we are, then no one's stopping us.
Yeah, well, when you're finishing in at least 3rd place in every tournament, I'd say that's definitely top 3 in the country, no doubt about it. Now, any talk about this team would be incomplete without mentioning Terrell Seidner and Anthony Orozco. Combine their records, just 1 loss here in the 2018-19 season.
That's crazy.
Do they have any weaknesses? Because it sure seems like whenever we watch them wrestle, they're just dominating match in, match out.
Yeah, definitely. With wrestlers, there's no perfect wrestler, unless you're Spencer Lee, or I won't say Spencer Lee right now, but there's no perfect wrestler. Like, there's always something to improve on. Like, me and Anthony talk a lot about our matches and like how we move, how different our weights are, because I'm in the lower weights and he's in the upper weights, and so it's different how our body styles have to move and how we have to move our opponents, and he used different techniques to take down our opponent and get an advantage on him. And so yeah, there's no, we also like go over each other's films and like we show each other like, oh, I messed up on this, I messed up on that. And so yeah, there's always weaknesses, and we're always trying to perfect or better ourselves and our technique.
No perfect wrestler, but those two have been pretty darn close to perfect over the course of the entire year. Now, as the conference tournament continues to get closer and closer, I know you just talked about that you're always trying to improve, but what specifically are you guys trying to work on as a team to get you ready for conference?
As a team, we just got to be more confident. I say confidence is real important with all of us, because if we go out there looking scared, then we're not going to perform as well as we do. Also, like, we also look to improve our strength and conditioning and our technique, but I feel like confidence is a lot more important than all of that, and just going out there and just banging out and taking down everybody.
Shout out to Vic, Carl, and the sports performance staff for the work on the men's wrestling team. Now, before the conference tournament, you get back into dual action, including Friday night, a match against Southern Oregon dual style. It's always a huge rivalry when the Raiders come into town. What are you expecting on Friday night?
We ran through most of their lineup before, but it's not easy. Like, I feel like we're a lot better than we were in the past, and so our technique's better, our strength's better, and also our mindsets are also better. And I'm expecting us to basically dominate and run through them.
And not only that, but you're going to be at home, so you'll have the home crowd behind you.
Yeah, it's always fun hearing them, especially like this last home duel we had. Like, the whole crowd was into it. And I loved it. I love the energy. The crowd really brings a good vibe. Yeah,
there are very few things, at least at the NAI GSAT Cascade level, can compare to a men's wrestling match at Menlo College. Place goes nuts. They're going to be out in full force on Friday night. All right, Riley, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 off-the-wall questions. Give me your best answers. Question number 1, which teammate would most like the Mexican food in Salinas? And no, you cannot pick Alex Garcia because he has an unfair advantage.
I recently had a talk with one of my teammates, and I think Ian Morgan, and we just talked this morning about Mexican food and about arroz con leche, and so I tried it out, and like it was pretty good this morning. And so whenever we talk about food, we're always talking about food whenever we have a conversation. And so we talk about like all the different styles, like Japanese, Italian, and all that, but it always ends up like we're always geeking out about Mexican food, and I feel like bringing them into town and showing them around.
It's just a bummer that you can't geek out about Cozumel's anymore.
Yeah, I know. If that was still open, I'd take him there, but there's this new place that I found a couple years ago, and it's amazing.
Okay, so what's the place?
It's called, I think it's La Casa del Sazon.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I know like my Spanish is like not there, but our place is amazing. They have this dish called mocojete, and it's probably the best thing I've ever had in my life.
I remember last year when I interviewed Jovan, he told me about what his favorite place in town was. And I apologize, Jovan, I haven't had a chance to go over there and visit yet, but I'm slowly but surely creating a bucket list of food locations that I need to go to when I go back home.
Oh, definitely. It's right next to Salinas High, so you won't miss it.
Okay, on Main Street or near Main Street?
Yeah, it's on that street.
Okay, perfect. I got it figured out. I'm going to be one happy camper next time I go home. Question number 2, which teammate is most likely to spend an off day at the Monterey Bay Aquarium?
I'd say my boys Donnie and Brooks. They're the first 2 teammates I met here when we first went to orientation, and so when I met them, we instantly had a bond. And before season, we were always trying to like explore like Menlo, and always looking for something to do, because like we weren't just gonna sit around and just practice work. We gotta like explore and like know our surroundings. And so they're like brothers to me right now, and so I take them back, and I think they love the aquarium, especially Brooks, because he's more inland and he's from Oklahoma, so I'm not sure if he gets a lot of like ocean side or ocean views over there. So
yeah, I was gonna say if he's got any type of ocean view in the middle of the country in Oklahoma,
yeah,
I think something's wrong with that picture. So yeah, I can imagine him kind of geeking out a little bit. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, there's water, there's animals.
No, I still geek out about it today too. It's still amazing. It's such an amazing sight.
Absolutely, you have to go back every now and again.
Oh, yeah.
And then question number 3. The Circus is coming back to the Salinas Sports Complex at some point, like it always does.
Yeah.
Who would you take to it and why?
Oh, I'd say my Hawaiian boys, Cody Kabonbon and Blason Tirakina. Sorry, Blason, if I butchered your last name. And also Ellie, as we like to call him, because I feel like there wouldn't be a moment where we wouldn't just stop laughing. Like Cody, especially Cody and Ellie, they're so funny. Just whatever they do is so funny, and like they're basically just walking comedians, and I love them.
For sure, and you can't go to a circus and not have a good time and laugh and all that stuff. So I think it's a pretty good choice. Yeah. Riley, thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, folks. The men's wrestling team, they're in action this weekend inside Haynes Prim Pavilion. Their final home duel of 2019 as they take on Southern Oregon University. First match starts at 7 o'clock. It will also serve as senior night for those seniors participating in their final home duel inside Haynes Prim. We invite you to tune into next week's episode of Unrooted Wrestling Edition when Riley Siason will select the next interviewee by me, Brian Brownfield, right here on the show. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care.
18. Please don't try to play us.